want answers.
I want the truth.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Real Lies podcast. I am, of course, your wonderful host, Georgina Grace, and today I am joined by the incredible Jeanette Archer. Jeanette, it's so good to have you back again. And Jeanette, you are a life path ruling number 29112. This is such incredible energy, and you've been on the podcast before, so people do know a little bit about this energy. However, what I will say is that you are definitely an angelic being here for very angelic being purposes, right? It literally is this number that tells me that. And this number starts with a two and ends with a two. Twos vibrate at a frequency that is equal to absolute, unconditional, pure love. Everything about you is all love first, and I'm leaving it as love as well. So, your whole part of the whole reason for being in this existence, according to this life path number, is the transmuter, right? It's like I take in everything that is not love and I transmute it, and what I leave behind is love. And for me, that basically sums up your entire existence and your purpose all in one. So
Wow.
it is just so beautiful to have you here, not only on this podcast, but here in this reality at this time. Couldn't have picked a more perfect time. Thank you for that. Thank you for choosing now. And thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you, Georgina, and thank you for having me back again. I loved the first time I was here with you and just enjoyed that interview so much, and the chat, and just thank you for explaining my numbers, because I never knew any of this before I met you. About the numbers and the numerology, and I had zero education on that subject, and I'm just learning so much with you. And my numbers, in my mind, I just always knew that twos and ones were who I was, but I had no idea why. So when you teach me about the numbers, it just confirms so much for me. And that about the love and transmuting, taking what isn't love and, transmuting it and then turning it into love, so to speak, leaving love behind. That so describes literally the two phases of my journey on the planet, because the first phase was my own healing journey and taking all of that pain and all of that negativity and everything else that comes with being a survivor of SRA, and taking it inward, working with it, and then learning to love myself and heal through love. And then the second part of my journey now is that I'm helping others do that.
Mm.
And that healing others, now I've healed myself, obviously, far enough down the line to be able to do that, because we're always continuously healing further. So yeah, just your description of that, it just is so life affirming for me, because it describes my first phase and my second phase of my journey. So thank you, George. I love it.
That's so incredible. And the life path number itself, a lot of people don't necessarily know actually what that represents. And just to very quickly validate even further what you just said is that, I believe that our souls, I believe that we have these overarching soul's mission or soul's contract. I don't, and when we incarnate into each incarnation or lifetime or whatever, we take just a fragment of that soul's purpose, like a subcontract of the main one kind of thing. And then that soul The essence of that soul and everything you've ever wanted to know about it is actually all laid out for you in your birth name,
Mm,
right? So when you want to know about your birth, sorry, about your soul, you look at a person's birth name. But there is a particular way that that person's soul needs to navigate this physical reality, and that information comes from your date of birth. Now, the life path number is actually the bridge between the two. It is literally the journey at which your soul needs to be on for this physical incarnation, physical reality. So, what you just said about what I said was it explained the first part of your journey, and now you're on this second part of your journey. That is literally your life path journey, and you are following it to a T. It is unfortunate that these energies typically, because they really are angelic beings, meaning they have the bandwidth, the capacity to handle so much. They typically will have the most horrific, horrible
mm,
experiences. Um, but that's needed because if you're an angelic being with a sole purpose to transmute what is not love into love, then we're not going to send you to somewhere that is full of love, right? So you
yeah.
you sent yourself to the place that has no love so that you
Mm,
could take all of that, transmute it into love.
mm,
And
mhm.
now you're at a point where the love is exploding out of you and you need to give this to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And it has just been such, for me, to witness you go through this has been such a phenomenal, like, like I'm like storing it in my memory bank because it's such a beautiful, and I'm just feel so grateful to be here and to be able to witness it so closely, like right next to you. Obviously, I'm referring to the course that we've put together and the fact that you're now um, working with, like, taking what you've learned, what you've been through your entire life and offering it at a group level. And we didn't necessarily know how this is going to go because it's not really been done before to combine psychic ability with therapy at a group level. I mean, it may have, I just don't know of it. And holy guacamole, this is something like, what is happening? But watching you in the course, and I know I'm like jumping straight in here. How do I not? Well, it is literally, I remember before the first session of the first course, I was so nervous. How do I, I've never worked in a group before and, all this kind of stuff. And then the moment we get into the course, it's like, oh, you've been training for this your entire life. Like you're some, and I used to train people to lead seminars and to coach group settings, and that's what I used to do. And you far exceed any person that I've seen do that has trained, actually properly trained for years and years and years of their life. Far exceed it. And I was blown, and I'm continue to be blown away at just how powerful you are. So
Wow. Thank you, Georgina. But you see, here's the thing though, your numerology, the level of which you can teach your numerology far exceeds anything that I would be able to put into words myself. So I feel what I'm here for. I absolutely know I come from an angelic realm, the seraphims, and all of the above. I know what I've been through, I know what I've healed, but I've never been able to articulate that outside of what I just know in my being. And then you come along with the expertise that just exceeds itself every time and articulate my life for me, and put it into these words that just blows my brain as if you've just been by my side the whole time watching and knowing what my soul journey is. And when you say about the course of, for the first time we're bringing together this sort of psychic therapeutic process, but we've also got your numerology in there.
Mm,
So it's just one big powerhouse, isn't it? But ultimately, no matter what, it comes from a place of love. And where, that's why it works. We've got all this knowledge as a collective, you and I, but ultimately it comes from a place of love and intention that comes from the right place, and the soul journey, the soul purpose.
mm,
So the numerology side of it for me has just been such an asset, because for me it's been life affirming to hear
mm,
what you can say and know through the numbers, date of birth, my name, and all of that. It's very life affirming for me.
mm,
Um, and also that you recognize that the parts of the journey, that the first phase of my life and the second phase of my life. Because for me, of course, I had to come into a place of where there was no love. Otherwise, I wouldn't fulfill the purpose. I wouldn't have any negativity to transmute into love, and pain and so on and so forth. So of course I had to come into the darkest place on the planet, basically, to
mm,
be able to then get to where I am now, where I can start to help to heal the planet,
mm,
and to have this part of my journey where I am helping others to heal. It just feels so I just am so grateful. I have so much gratitude for and I do look at me and go, what, me, the survivor of SRA, and I'm managing to help people in this way. And so, when you say about the first course we launched where I just naturally went to it, it's because that's what I'm meant to be doing.
mm.
And however it happens, I just know how to do it.
It's so
So yeah.
incredible. It's just so incredible. And I just very quickly want to point out, because I want to get so deep into this course and how it came about and all of this, because it's not just a course, it's like life altering for like this course has altered your entire life, right? Mine, and then obviously all of the people that do it. But before we actually get into that, I just wanted to mention that our next course is October 12th, right? Starts on the 12th of October, which for my time in Australia, that's a Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. And there's still spots available for that. So if you listen through this episode and you feel, okay, like this sounds like something I need to be doing, and this is where you're
Mhm.
at in your healing journey, then you can definitely still book a spot and get into the course. So I'll give the details for how to do that at the end of this episode. But I just wanted to let you know that our next course, which will be, I think, the last one for this year, will it not?
It's looking likely, but
Yeah.
there will be other things that we can do. Like we are going to be running workshops and so on and so forth. So, but I think this may be the last one for this year.
Yeah.
Um, and also what I'm really happy about with this course, it's time friendly for the US and
Mm,
Canada and that part of the world. It's so hard to marry up all the time zones,
yeah.
and the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere. We managed to sort of fit that together in the courses we've done before. But the poor sort of US and Canada, their time zones are really tricky to try and fit in. So we have, if you are in the US or Canada, that neck of the woods, we have made this one time friendly for you. And it
Mm.
is basically, I think, of a Saturday evening. I think it works out for
Yeah, I
that
think
part
it's
of the
like
world.
8 p.m., depending on where you are
Yeah,
in America, because there's
yeah,
different time zones even within America that it's around
yeah,
that 8 p.m. mark.
yeah.
It'll be on
And
the Pacific.
there's time zone where it might be 5 p.m. So yeah, it's between that thing. So yeah.
Saturday
Um,
evenings.
Saturday evenings.
Yeah, so that'd be nice. It's Australia and US, Canada friendly.
New Zealand,
New Zealand,
yeah,
yes.
Southern Hemisphere
Yeah.
friendly, yeah. Sorry, Europe and UK couldn't do it with this one, but we
Yeah.
did do that with the last couple, and so we have to try and rotate it so everybody can have a go.
Absolutely. So yes, this is looking like the last one for the year. We absolutely will have more in 2025, but yes, I'll give the details for how to apply and how to book that in if you feel very called to do so. All right. So I just really want to hear from you and just listen to everything that you have to say. I really want to know about your journey in, because this is such a big deal that you're doing this. You went from giving readings to family and friends for a long time to only in the last, how many years? 2, 3 years, actually doing readings publicly now.
No, really, not even that.
Not even
Probably
that.
about a year.
Wow. Wow. And since you started offering your readings publicly, you've just been inundated. Like you're booked out now for your readings until like January, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that just amazing but crazy?
It's been really full on and a huge adjustment period. I mean, when I think about what happened from when my guides came to me in 2023 and said, okay, Jeanette, I've been this full on activist, speaking out, exposing everything that is SRA and everyone that's involved, and I've done activism on the streets and I've organized protests and I've stood outside their locations and so that was sort of going back. That started sort of about 5 years ago when I decided to speak out publicly.
Mm.
And I started doing interviews and so on and so forth. And then my story went worldwide and it just snowballed again, everything snowballed. So that big adjustment period of going public was off the scale for me because previous to that, yes, I was writing and obviously disclosing. I had great therapists and I was on a huge healing journey. But the disclosures were to close friends, um, at best, really, and learning myself. So really there was like a 20-year period where I was just locked myself away, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't mean I was took myself out of society, but it was minimal, I was very happy in my own space, healing, didn't have an abundance of friends. I was so focused on raising my children and so I just knew, I've always known in chunks of what I'm meant to be doing and in that period of time. So that was the time period that my guides and my angels and spirit and my own knowing where that was my big healing period. And then my guides came and said, right, it's time to now go public. And I was hesitant, obviously.
Mm.
But I knew that if I didn't, I wasn't fulfilling my sole purpose and I would just be at a standstill and so on and so forth. So, as much as things may feel uncomfortable for me and have done, I knew that I still had to do it. So, I did. I went public. I did my first public interview. And yes, then all the activism came in and I would be stood outside these locations and, with a megaphone in my hand and exposing whether it's the royals or politicians or whatever. And, I'd go home and go, what did I just do?
Mm.
What did I just do? I went from this really humble existence of just a very, very quiet life to standing on the streets with megaphones, and doing public interviews, and suddenly I was known around the world. And so that was a huge adjustment period for me, huge. But I continued to trust my process and my journey and my spiritual guidance. So that led to really around middle of last year and 2023, and my guide said again, okay, Jeanette, now this is the next phase. And they said that they want me to start making my psychic ability and my healing abilities and my therapeutic experience, because I've got a whole wealth of that. May not have a degree, may not have a certificate, but I have the experience in abundance. So, and of course, specifically for SRA survivors, also because that support out there is minimum. But for, any form of survivor. And again, I was really hesitant. I was like, oh, okay, no, I'm happy just exposing and doing what I'm doing. But no, they pushed and pushed and pushed. So I made my readings public to people that needed it. Yeah, the rest is history. I am just inundated. But to the point actually where I have days where I feel bad because I can't fit enough people in, So that's been an adjustment period, how to manage that. And then you came along. Again, sent by the heavens and my guides and all the rest of it. And you just sat me down and went, right, Jeanette, we're going to do this, 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 and this, and this. Now, what happened there was this vision that I had that I knew I had to be doing, offering my services, if you like, to more people. My guides were showing me about, group settings and yes, speaking in different settings and just an abundance of things. But I didn't know how to achieve that. I am not tech savvy. I'm not business savvy. I'm not any of that. So, and the thought of it just made me want to crawl and hide back into a comfort zone, because I knew I wouldn't be able to achieve it. So, um, you did it. I spoke to you about the vision. I spoke to you about what I knew I was meant to be doing, and you made it all happen. So there was the perfect union. So that happened. And then the beginning of this year, around April, I think it was, because I've always been in rented accommodation. I've never been able to afford a home of my own and so on and so forth. Since becoming, single mummy and being on my own. So I was in another rented accommodation, and our landlady gave us notice because I wanted to sell the house. So that was really something that came from, it was very left field and unexpected. We thought it was going to be like a long-term home and so on and so forth. Um, so that was a bit of a shock because it was, I was settled and comfortable and safe, felt safe, which is a huge deal. Um, Started looking for somewhere else and just kept coming up against obstacles of I couldn't find anywhere else to live. Nothing was affordable, and this was going on for a couple of months. And then my partner suggested, well, why don't we go and live somewhere else? And that sort of planted a seed, and that grew like it does. And my spirit guides were saying more and more and more. So to cut a long story short, the outcome of that process was I have now sold all my belongings. I don't have a home. I have a suitcase. I sold everything I owned, which was, like furniture and a car. And I took a few very personal items and put them into a small storage unit. And we now live in Southeast Asia, so left the UK on the funds that I made from selling everything. And I'm now adjusting to that because what my guides were showing me was I need to be free from material worries, domestic duties, you know, concerned about how I'm going to pay my electric bill and all the usual things that come from, living in the UK on very little money. And I needed to be free of the system.
Mm.
And also, the UK is my origin of my cult and the network, and they wanted me away from that because I've got a target on my back in the UK. I have to look over my shoulder. I have to check my rear view mirror when I'm driving. I get followed and so on and so forth. So there were so many factors to it. And without boring you with the details, I ended up making the decision. So September of this year, literally not that long ago,
Mm.
the beginning of September, we got on a flight and left.
Mm.
So this is my sole purpose. And my spirit guides wanted me in a situation where I didn't have to put energy into anything else bar my work. So now I live, in Southeast Asia. I travel around living in a way that is affordable because it's obviously far cheaper here than it is in the UK. Sorry to be crude about that, but that is just the fact of life. And I own a suitcase. So I literally now live as a nomad, but that is my dedication and devotion and commitment to my sole purpose.
Mm.
And when I think about right from birth to now, all I've ever done is stayed committed to my sole purpose.
Mm.
So, yes, so here I am now in a situation where I can help as many people as I can. I'm running the courses, I'm doing the readings, I'm going to be setting up meditation that people can get also, and workshops where I'm literally going to be just educating people on SRA because more and more people all the time are coming forward and want to learn.
Mm.
So I'm just now in a situation where I can fully feel I can put in the energy that I need spiritually and emotionally and physically. I'm not getting any younger to actually just be dedicated to this part of my soul journey. Where this is going to end, I have no idea.
Mm.
No idea where I'm going to end up. I don't have a home in the UK anymore. I have no idea what's going to happen. I just know that this is where I'm meant to be and what I'm meant to be doing right here, right now.
Mm.
Plus, being in this culture helps my spirituality and helps my inner peace. I don't watch my back here. I feel safe. I feel relaxed. So, therefore, that's more energy I can put into this part of my soul journey, and that's helping others to heal. So it's a big fat wow on how the last years have panned out. And I think this final bit where I now don't even have a home and living out of a suitcase and whatever, but probably at the most at peace than I've ever been in my life is the biggest wow of all because who knew that this is what was in store? But everything
Mm.
happens for a reason, including being told that I had to leave our rental home.
Absolutely. I think that's so freaking powerful. I think the thing that is the most powerful is the every time you were shown something that made you want to run for the freaking hills, I'm sure there was a period of time where you
Mm,
did slightly run for the hills internally, right? You're like, no effing way I'm doing that. Are you crazy? No, 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 no. I know, for sure. I even get that experience myself. A lot of people will not turn around
mm,
and actually walk the path.
mm,
Every
mm,
single time you've turned around and walked a path, and it's a little bit like far out. Like, I hope at some point you get to breathe and have a rest. No, but I know that that's not the life that you signed up for, literally in your numbers. But I think a piece that I feel is really important for people to understand is breaking away from the system part because
mm,
I really feel, and you can share if you like, and you don't have to, what that actually means breaking away from the system. Because for you to fulfill on your true soul's purpose, I feel like there can't be any ties that you have to the system, right? Like for you to fully be authentically delivering and living your soul's purpose, which is to truly heal people and transmute love, right? And do that on
mm,
a very large scale because so
mm,
much of the world has been abused by the same people that you're breaking away from.
mm,
And, their version of that all around the world, not specifically the
mm.
UK, but um, so I think it's really, really, really important that you had to break away from that. You need to break away from that. And your landlord saying, sorry, I'm selling the place. I mean, at at this specific timing, right at the time when you make the huge leap from one-on-one to now I'm going to do this at a group scale where I'm going to actually reach many more people and, provide this healing for so many more people. Like, there's nothing coincidental about that, So, would you like to talk a little bit about that? And it's okay if you don't.
I mean, you're absolutely right. There's nothing coincidental. And I think everybody, what I really learned was, just as a side note, that 2024 especially, and going into 2025, is when people really need to work out their soul purposes and get on their true life paths. And so many of the people that I do readings for now, or the psychic healing that I do, um, are desperately trying to find their way on their soul purpose, because they can feel that longing, they can feel that purpose
Mm,
calling them. But
yeah,
it's about having to first heal the human existence,
yeah.
and then the soul purpose opens up. So I think it's so important to really now, especially now more than ever, because we're all here for a purpose on this planet. We haven't just landed here accidentally. We're all here, this time in the Earth's history to
Mm,
reclaim it. So of course the system is a tie. Of course it is set up by the dark energy on this planet.
mm,
All our institutions need to be brought down to the ground and never rebuilt. And this is a big part of why we're all here as the collective. But we must heal our own human existences. But for me personally, to be away from the system, well, first of all, that system was the cult that held me captive for 22 years,
yeah.
and the network. So I think ultimately leaving the system means, of course, on the literal, wouldn't it be good if we could all leave the system? Okay, right here, right now. But it's not practically possible to leave it completely just yet. So leave it the best you can, is what I'd say. And ultimately, the goal at the moment is so you can heal your human existence and you can venture into your soul purpose, is to find the best compromise for you to have to pay your bills. Some people have to send their children to school and, so on and so forth. But find the best way possible for you to be at peace. So for me here, being away from my country of origin and my network, or the network that held me, the cult, I am as at peace as I possibly can be on this planet at this point in time.
Mm.
And that's where my guides wanted me to be, a place where I feel safe. And we all need that. Safety is fundamental. So until you can recognize that there's certain things in your life where you feel unsafe, you can't then work out what you need to feel safe. And this is a lot of what we teach in the course as well, with the soul purpose and so on and so forth. So find where you can be at peace in the best possible way.
Mm.
Because when you have that, you can then hear your heart space and your spiritual and your soul level. If you are um, compromised all the time by noise, whatever that may be, I don't mean literal, um, toxicity and just overload of stimulation and everything else, of course, everything's going to be harder for you. Of course it is. So I know I needed to be here to be able to be the best healer that I can be.
Mm.
But the most important thing fundamentally was that I felt safe and I was at peace. So my own healing continues.
Mm.
So it's,
Mm.
yeah,
It's so incredible. And it's, just even for anybody to take that leap to fully separate themselves from any kind of system, whether it's relying on a full-time wage or whatever it is, but the leap to go, no, you know what? I'm going all in on myself. I'm
yeah,
gonna 100% back
yeah,
myself, what I'm here to do, not only what I'm here
yeah,
to do, but on my um IP, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like my own creation, my own voice, my own truth, my own.
yeah.
I am backing that. And I love that you mentioned, I don't have the degrees and I don't have this is going to become when we're about to go through such a mass awakening and it's like we're moving into a nine energy next year. I'm going to do a whole video about this, but coming into a nine energy, it's like everything that's been swept under the rug for the last 9 years, right? Because we cycle every 9 years, 9 months, like that. Um, Everything that's been swept under the rug under a nine energy, well, this is about completion. This is about bringing everything comes to the surface under a nine energy. For the nines are the healers. You're a 29, 11 2, hence the healing part. Nines are literally transmuters. To transmute anything, it first needs to be brought to the surface so that you know, oh, that's a thing that I'm supposed to transmute. So things are being brought to the surface right now. October is a nine energy month, so I feel very strongly that October, this month now, is actually going to be a tiny little crystal ball, little glimpse of what next year is going to be like. So there's going to be so much exposure and things that it's going to be very uncomfortable. And at the same time, I think the people, the power, whoever they are at the top, whatever they want to call themselves, I don't like calling them elites because it makes them sound good and like, oh, I want to be
We just call
elite.
them Satanists. We just call
Yes,
them what they are.
let's call them what they are, Satanists. Exactly. I think they're going to throw everything at the wall, you
Yeah,
know, everything.
yeah,
There's going to be alien invasions. There's going to be like, everything is going to come out next year. And when that happens, people are going to realize, oh, all of the people that have these degrees have been trained by a system that was from those, hang on, so people with degrees, I'm not saying that they're going to go, I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but I just know people are going to um, very much value the people that don't have those degrees from those
yeah,
systems and value people that actually are from an authentic and true place, which is you. So, um,
yeah. Yeah,
And that's obviously very evident given how inundated you really are. Um, can I ask a question? Going,
sure.
having gone through what you've gone through, now being mostly on the other side of it, I know the healing journey is never done, never. Um, but now you're at a point where not only are you offering your healing services, but you're offering them to groups. Like, what does that even feel like for you to be able to actually do that and witness other people's healing that you are actively facilitating yourself? Like, what I just think, what a like 180, you know?
Yeah,
Isn't that just
somewhat. Well, coming from the seraphim realm as well, this life existence for me, this soul incarnation was not going to be lightweight, was it? Let's face it.
mm,
Um, what does it feel like? It feels humbling doesn't even really cut it. I just feel so overwhelmed with gratitude. And I have moments of that it helps me heal to remember also who I am and believe in myself
mm,
because the human me, the SRA survivor, and so on and so forth, as much as the healing I've done, there's always room for me to believe in myself more.
mm,
So it really helps me with that when I physically see the results, and spiritually see the results. And when I see what I do transmute into that love and everything that comes from that in someone else's healing journey, it's just gratitude. It's full on gratitude, and it's quite overwhelming sometimes as well because I can feel it's a big responsibility.
mm,
But it's one that I absolutely just embrace. I just embrace it. For as long as I'm meant to be doing this, I will just be, I just feel really grateful.
mm.
And I feel really grateful.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really
I think
incredible.
it's that.
It's so beautiful. And so we should talk about the actual course and what happens in it and what we do with
Yeah.
people and how it works because it is really, really, really incredible. And, I just have to say, like, part of the reason why Um, I mean, I don't even know why. I remember when we had our first interview, and immediately afterwards, the first thing I said to you was, Jeanette, you need to put a course together. What are you doing, lady? Like, this needs to happen like
Yeah.
yesterday.
And I was like, well, funnily enough,
Funnily
I
enough.
have wanted to do that, but I haven't got a clue how to put all that together.
Yes.
And
Yeah. And
then
yeah.
obviously that's where it all started,
It
where
just
you
makes
actually made that happen for me.
And it made so much sense. I mean, I remember where you said to me that I just don't know what kind of course, like what would I offer and what would I and for me it was like painted on your face what you would do. Like you're a healer, Jeanette, you should
Yeah.
be healing,
Yeah.
you know. So and there the course was and I mean I wasn't saying this to be part of it, but you just were like, do you want to do it?
Will you help me?
It was just a match made
I
in
need
heaven.
somebody that actually knows how to physically set these things up, the whole admin side, everything. I mean, oh my God, you were just an absolute gift from the heavens. So that's what I said at the beginning. You took my vision and you manifested it into something real, and practical. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I mean, there were no coincidences that we had that conversation.
it was amazing. And you're making it sound like I did a lot, but I really it's not, it just put some emails together and, so, you actually, this is your creation. This is really you because you bring it like alive in the course. And I have to like wipe the drool off my chin every time because I'm just like in awe with my mouth to the floor, watching you interact with each participant of the course and how you do that and how you also interact with your guide and what comes like this course is a 4-week course, which doesn't sound like a very long time in the scheme of things. I have a course that's 12 weeks and I'm about to extend it because it's not long enough, you know. This is 4 weeks, and I tell you what, like, the moment the course starts and we open the course in the first session, we're in and we are in
Yeah.
straight
Yeah.
away. And because of how potent your psychic ability is, it's like we're sitting amongst a group of people that we have been getting to know for months and months and months and months. We are right there with them. And where each participant gets taken to immediately in the first session is the exact place that they're at in their healing, like right where they're.
Yeah.
So it really is like you've been working with these people for months.
Yeah.
And this is now the next step, except you haven't been working with them for months.
Mm.
You
So
know,
that's how the psychic side comes in. That's the fast tracking. And that's why people don't end up with me one to one for no good purpose, is if when they're ready. And it's the same thing with the course. I know that the right people end up on our courses that are ready for that transition.
Mm,
So that's where the psychic side comes in, where my guide, he goes straight to it. And yeah, that 4 week course, it is like a 12-week course squeezed into 4 weeks,
yeah.
because there's so much that happens in that time, let alone the content of, what we really pinpoint, and the releasing blockages and, trauma, connecting to the inner child, and then all the lovely stuff of your angels and your guides and where you're from. We work that out a lot for people. And I mean, it's just, I love how much of a mixed bag it is, because there's some tough stuff,
Mm.
and then there's some really lovely spiritual enlightenment. But what I'm really proud of as well is that it's a safe space. We create that safety for people,
Yeah, we
and
really,
then
really work
they
hard on that.
they connect with each other, and they can stay in touch then through the private Telegram group. And yeah, I'm proud of it, and I'm happy with it, and the amount of content that's in there, but just the humanity side of it, connecting with people that need something one way or another.
And I think what's really like sets it apart in a lot of ways is that, part of the reason why we needed to put this course together is because the intention of it is to start to become comfortable, not just you and I, but us as a collective, like everybody that exists in the world, start
Mm.
to become comfortable with not only connecting with others, but healing at a collective
Yeah,
level, like healing with each other, because a lot of our um, fears, worries, and concerns about ourselves are fears of other people, like, oh, other people are thinking I'm da da da, or I should be like this, or, so it's all about like this separation that exists. And the course,
yeah,
while yes, absolutely, it's about like being able to, because as you said, you're inundated on a one-to-one level, and there's only so much that you can physically handle, and it is actually necessary and needed for you to expand out and work at a group level so that you can still reach and get to everybody that wants to get to you, but just at a
yeah.
group level. So that's definitely part of it. Another big part of it is really to actually, as I said, get comfortable with healing as a collective,
Mm,
because
mm,
and when we do that and we can dissolve the invisible walls that exist between
yeah.
us. This is like unbeatable when we can come together like this. And
The power that comes from that is incredible. I mean, when you think about what society has done to humanity, it's isolation and trust issues.
yeah,
So you're facing those in a group environment. where you will suddenly feel safe with like-minded people, supported,
Mm,
empathized, cared for. You
mm.
know, you're breaking down the toxicity that society has placed amongst us all. Because,
Yeah.
of course, that's what they wanted us to all be separated. Because as a collective, we're extremely powerful, because we are all a collective and connected. So I love that about the group setting.
Mm,
It absolutely enhances people's capacity to recognize that they're not alone, they're not isolated, and they can trust another human being.
mm.
It's so deeply healing to be in that group setting.
It's so even for me being in that group setting is so healing and watching these people who at the beginning are, working everything out and
Mm, mm,
and then by the end of the first session, everyone is just like, so in love with each other and like, oh my gosh, I would just want to be here for you. And, it's so,
mm,
and people in past courses, they still communicate regularly in those group chat, like regularly. They've become like a little
mm,
family. And I just think it like, what a gift to give people, in a time where, particularly after COVID and after 2020,
mm.
where it was like, you got to stay 6 feet away from everybody. Stay in your
Well, hence they want us separated, isolated, and scared of each other. You
yeah.
know, the lack of trust. So I'm really looking forward to this one in October, starting next week. And like you say, we have got some places left, haven't we? So people
Yes.
can get in touch. You're the admin person. You know how it's all going.
Yes, yes, yes. So if you want to either find out more or apply for the course, send an email to psychic healing with Jeanette at gmail.com. All of the information will be in the show notes. So it'll be very easy for you to find this. But simply just send an email to that email, psychic healing with Jeanette at
Yeah.
gmail.com. And
I forget it all the time.
oh, yes. And yeah, even though it's literally what you do. And
Psychic healing with Jeanette at gmail.com.
yes. And
Okay.
then I'll send you an application and everything else after that.
Yeah.
So super, super, super exciting. Thank you so much for being here, Jeanette. This course is
Mm.
definitely going to be every course that we have ran, you have just unleashed yourself even more. And I think the confidence that you got in the last course, like all I will say is that if you are applying for this course, get ready. Okay, get ready. Because yeah, it's going to be a
But
big
thank
one.
you, Georgina, and thank you for having me. It's been lovely seeing you here again in this setting.
Yes.
And the other thing that I'm really, really excited about is, again, thank you to your Georgina, who has built me my very own website. So I'm so, so excited, because this is all focused on my soul journey and my work and everything that I'm doing at this period in time. I do have another website, as I'm sure most of you are aware, which is very SRA based, but this will be about my healing work, the psychic healing courses, psychic healing therapy with me, my one-to-one readings, and like I say, I'm also putting together workshops. Okay, and they will be educational. They'll be accessible to anybody that wants to do them. They're not going to be expensive. None of what we do is expensive anyway, because I try and make it affordable for everybody. But the workshops will just be, a quick pay-as-you-go thing. 90 minutes, an hour of me educating on whatever the subject will be, and then a half an hour Q&A. I'm also going to be looking into doing some meditations that I can then download, so you can go off and do them. And so, yes, as soon as that website's ready, you can go on there and just flick through and have a look at what you want to do and participate in. And that will be hopefully released, I'd say, within the next couple of weeks. So keep a lookout for that. And yeah, I'm very excited to share that with you.
Awesome. So exciting. Well, thank you so much for being here, Jeanette, and for sharing all about this incredible course. I cannot wait to see what unfolds with this session. And again, psychic healing with Jeanette at gmail.com. And I'll put all the links below. But thank you so much.